Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Cryptonews Weekly Roundup, episode number 50. Pretty wild. Rachel, I remember doing this with you a year ago, sometime in July. I can't believe we're already at numero 50, and we're going to hit that big 52 year anniversary soon. Pretty wild, and love doing this with you. How is Paris? Very jealous of where you are. Toronto, we've had a huge heat wave. Now it's actually cold. It's going to rain the next 5 days, and you're living in paradise. How's life over in Europe?
Yeah, everything in Paris is wonderful. The weather is great, and I have no complaints. Been eating a lot of baguettes. Very happy.
I love it. Baguettes and the food there's so good. Okay, let's jump into it, guys. Pretty chill week across the board with one main theme being the publicly traded companies and the convergence of crypto. We finally sort of jumped in bed together, and TradFi Wall Street is now huge fans of us, which we love to see, and that will dominate this week's news cycle. We're going to start with some price action. Bitcoin is the only gainer, I guess BNB as well, but Bitcoin is the only gainer of the week, up 2.5% to 106.9K per Bitcoin. Ethereum's down 3% to 2.43K per ETH. Everything else in the top 10 is down just a little bit, under 2 or 3%. And the only big loser in the top 10 is Dogecoin, down 5.75% to 16 cents, just under 16 cents per Doge. Like we said, Rachel, this whole week is about governance, and it is about TradFi. And we are starting off with Senator Lummis and the Genius Act that must pass this year. We absolutely love to see it.
Yeah, this is great news, Matt, and it's very relevant given the fact that a lot of these crypto companies are looking into doing IPOs. So basically, Senator Cynthia Lummis spoke with Squawk Box co-anchor Joe Kernan on June 25th, and she expressed her hopes that both the House of Representatives and the Senate in the United States could come together to enact sweeping crypto legislation. She stated, "I hope now that they're comparing the stablecoin legislation that their Financial Services Committee passed to the Genius Act, we can work together to figure out a path forward for both market structure and the Genius Act." She also said, "I'm not saying to combine them, but they both need to pass this year." The Genius Act, short for the Guiding and Establishing National Innovation for U.S. Stablecoins Act, passed through the Senate in a 68 to 30 vote earlier this month, driving further crypto innovation and adoption. So this is really great news.
Well said, Rachel. Moving forward, U.S. Bitcoin ETFs have hit an 11-day inflow streak. We are back. We're sort of back. The momentum train is buzzing again. And this was led with BlackRock's $436 million despite macro fears. We had a bit of a small war over the last couple of weeks, and people are still putting their money into Bitcoin. The ETFs defied mounting geopolitical tensions and Federal Reserve uncertainty by recording their 11th consecutive positive day of inflows, totaling $588 million in fresh capital of June 24th. Again, BlackRock's IBIT led the show here. We're currently hovering around 107K as we briefly almost hit 112 this year, which is pretty darn incredible considering the escalating tensions in the Middle East. Everyone on the Bitcoin ETF team, great job. Keep up the good work. Peter Thiel is backing one of the most undervalued and potentially highest upside companies in all of crypto, and that is PolyMarket.
Yeah, Matt, so let's talk about it. So PolyMarket is nearing a $200 million raise at a $1 billion valuation led by Founders Fund. Despite bans and an FBI raid, the platform continues to grow and attract major backing. With over 21,000 open markets, PolyMarket has become a global hub for political and economic betting. And it's great news to see that Peter Thiel has taken an interest in PolyMarket. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens next.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun there. Anthony Pompliano buzzing and back in the news. Also shout out Tony Chi, old founder of Cryptonews.com. Pomp striked a $1 billion merger to launch Bitcoin native ProCap, and he's currently raised $750 million to go public. He announced this on X a couple days ago, and they raised $750 million from some of the leading financial institutions on Wall Street and high net worth individuals. This will be a publicly traded company on the NASDAQ, and this is through a special purpose acquisition company, also known as a SPAC, with Columbus Circle Capital Corp. Again, $750 million, which is the largest initial fundraise in history for a publicly traded blockchain treasury company. And they've already bought $500 million worth of Bitcoin. And I believe they are the 16th largest holder of Bitcoin in the whole world. So this is obviously minus the ETFs. So shout out Pomp, shout out Tony G. Great job, lads, and keep buzzing there. Speaking of big raises, Going across the pond over to China, China's Nano Labs, who candidly, Rachel, I've never even heard of, is jumping into the arena with a $1 billion BNB raise. Pretty wild stuff here.
Yeah, this is definitely interesting news. So, China-based Web3 infrastructure firm Nano Labs has entered into a $500 million convertible note agreement as part of a broader strategy to accumulate Binance's coin BNB holdings worth up to $1 billion. The deal's completion is not guaranteed and depends on standard closing conditions. The company also aims to eventually hold 5 to 10% of BNB's circulating supply as part of a broader digital asset strategy. This is really interesting. Definitely sounds like good news for BNB. So, very excited to see what happens next.
Yeah, it seems like all of the biggest cryptos are now getting either ETFs or public companies are throwing huge sums of money into them, which is really, really cool. Moving forward, Ledger reveals recovery key for Flex and Stax wallets. This was, again, one of the more wild pieces of news this week. One of the biggest, I mean, there's really only two, but one of the two big boys being Ledger and Trezor. Ledger has announced its latest project. The Ledger recovery key is coming soon. They didn't give us a date yet, but it will be coming soon. Users will be able to create an offline spare key alongside their 24-word seed phrase, as well as the PIN code for it. The key connects directly to the Ledger device via NFC communication with no intermediary, and to recover access, you only have to tap the card and enter the PIN. This is pretty much like a credit card or like a bank card, I gather, which is quite cool and makes things a lot easier for onboarding the masses. Someone from Ledger said there is no limit to the number of spare keys that can be created, and creating a spare key is always optional and can only be created by you with confirmation on your Ledger. This is really interesting and super cool. If they can make this work, I'm going to be trying it on myself and seeing how it works. Moving forward, Binance, in the news again, launches global crypto cops training to combat exploding wave of Web3 crime. Pretty cool news here.
Yeah, definitely, Matt. This is great news considering there has been an influx of Web3 crime lately. So basically, Binance has launched an ambitious global training initiative to create a new generation of crypto cops capable of combating the explosive surge in Web3 crime. This law enforcement training program is led by Binance's head of law enforcement training, Jarek Jakubik. Apologies if I mispronounced your name there, Jarek, with recent training sessions held in Thailand and South Korea. This particularly came at a time when blockchain security data reveals 2024 as potentially the worst year for crypto-related criminal activity, with over $3 billion in annual losses. So definitely hoping that Binance can help out here.
Yeah, well said. Moving forward, time to talk about some Ethereum. We haven't really touched a whole lot of ETH over the last couple of weeks, Rachel. Bit Digital pivots from Bitcoin mining to ETH staking strategy, and their stock briefly dropped 8%. They are planning to become a pure play in ETH staking and treasury company. Again, this is a company that was strictly into Bitcoin. They said on Wednesday that they plan to sell their Bitcoin mining assets and to redeploy net proceeds into Ethereum. The company reported a 17% decrease in revenue for the first quarter in 2025 compared to the previous year, which was mostly done because of the Bitcoin halving back in April 2024. In particular, these guys saw a 64% decrease in revenue and said it had earned only 83 Bitcoin during Q1, which is an 80% decrease from the prior year. Pretty wild. A lot of Bitcoin mining companies are struggling to remain as profitable as they were. Again, that's just sort of the whole supply and demand. If the Bitcoin mining rewards go down, the price of Bitcoin needs to go up. And we haven't really seen that sort of parabolic run up yet. So hopefully we can experience that soon. Last piece of news on the week, Rachel. SharpLink Gaming doubles down on ETH with a $30 million buy, and they've quickly and swiftly become the world's largest public holder of Ethereum.
This is a great way to end the news of the week, Matt. So sports betting company SharpLink Gaming has solidified its position as the world's largest publicly traded Ethereum holder, acquiring an additional 12,207 ETH for $30.6 million in a 5-day buying spree that ended on June 20th. The Minneapolis-based firm now controls 188,478 ETH, worth approximately $457 million at current prices. This represents one of the audacious corporate crypto strategies since MicroStrategy's Bitcoin accumulation campaign. This is great news for ETH, so we love to see this.
Yeah, well said. Guys, this marks another episode of the Cryptonews Weekly Roundup, episode number 50. Pretty wild that we're already at 50, and soon we'll be at 52. If you guys enjoyed this one, and we hope you did, please do subscribe. Hammer that like button. It would mean the world to Rachel, myself, and of course, our whole team over at Cryptonews. We really appreciate you guys tuning in every week. It's been a pretty wild ride with the publicly traded convergence of crypto, and hopefully this trend continues, and hopefully we get some green on the board next week. Enjoy your summer, guys, and we will see you on the next one.